It's time to get back to basics. Hey Pinnacle Studio peeps, how y'all doing out there? My name is Malik and I'm back on your screen with more Pinnacle Studio love from PinnacleStudioPro.com. It's time for me to break down the basic editing tools in Pinnacle Studio 20 Ultimate. So let's jump off into the software and make it happen. Alright Pinnacle Studio peeps, here we are in Pinnacle Studio 20 Ultimate and it's time to get our basic editing on. Now, if you end up liking what you see and you decide that you want to buy this program, I have included a link to the program in the video description. Full disclosure, that is an affiliate link, so if you buy using that link, I will get a small commission and it will help me to continue to make videos for you guys to learn how to use the program. So if you want to help me help you, there you go. Let's jump off into this thing. Anytime you edit a video, the first thing that you want to do is make sure that your project is set up correctly. So in order to do that, you want to go to Setup, Control Panel, and then you want to go down to Project Settings. Now under Project Settings, you want to focus on the new movie project format and the video standard. You want to make sure that you select the correct resolution and frame rate for what you would like to export your movie as. What that means is when you set up your project and you click on Export, there are presets that Pinnacle Studio will use based on how you set up your project. So you want to set up your timeline correctly so that at the end, when you're ready to make it into a movie, everything is correct. So as you can see, there are several different types of resolutions and frame rates to choose from on here. There's PAL, there's NTSC, there's 4K, there's all types of different settings. I have mine set to 1920 by 1080 24p because that is how I would like to export my movie when I'm done. Now, if you're going to use the same frame rate for all of your clips and you're going to export to that same frame rate, then you can leave this button checked. It says Detect Format from First Clip. That way, Pinnacle Studio will look at the first clip that you place in the timeline and say, hey, this is the resolution and this is the frame rate, so that's what I'm setting up the project as. So if you know that your video clips are already set to a frame rate and resolution that you want to export at, you can leave this checked. All right. Now, after you select your video standard, you will be able to click on Apply. And then after you click on Apply, you should click on OK. So now that we got that all broken down for us and we got our project set up, let me explain to you the interface of Pinnacle Studio 20 Ultimate. The first thing you see at the top left is the media window. To the right of that, you have your preview window. And then below both of those, you have your timeline. So let's start off talking about the media window. The media window is the place where you will be able to see all of the assets that are at your disposal. There are several ways to get assets into the media window. The first way is that if you have watch folders set up for Pinnacle Studio, you can go to the navigation flyout. And once you go to that navigation flyout, you will be able to see the media library, project bins, projects, collections, and content. Any of these that you select will open up media under a tab and change the tab to the tab that you select. So if I were to go to media library or library media, and then I click on Digital Juice Training, this tab will change to Digital Juice Training, and the media that I see will be the media that's in that folder. So I'm going to go back here. All right. You can click on the different tabs to access the media that is in each tab. And if you want to add a new tab and you want to add more media, you can click on the Add New Tab button. It will default to the project bin sky's the limit, but you can go back to your navigation and you can choose a different folder if you wish to do so. Also, you have a quick import button. So if you want to import media from a folder, you can click on that. Go to the location on your computer where the media is located. And click on Open. And it will import that media and you can utilize it. Or if it's already in a watch folder that's being watched, it'll just bring it to that file. So next we have the preview window. The preview window allows you to view what's in a timeline. And if I scrub the timeline, you can see that it's showing all the things that I have in a timeline right now. Or it allows you to view media that you have in the media window. So if I click on one of these, it will change over to source. And now I'm able to view the thing that is here. I can add mark in and mark outs. I can preview it. And I can just see this file. Now, under the preview window, you have options to do a lot of different things. First thing I can do is I can stretch out the timeline. I can turn on and off loop play. I can jog and shuttle forward or reverse. If I click on the go to start button, it will take me back to the beginning of the timeline. And I also have the ability to click on the home key on my keyboard and it'll take me back to the beginning of the timeline. I also have a go to end button and click on that and it'll go to the end of my timeline. Or I can click on the end key. That'll take me to the end of my timeline. I also have the jump backward button, and this will take me backward between clips. And I can also use the page up button to do that. Then I have the jump forward button, which will do the same thing in the opposite direction. Or I can use the page down button. I also have the step one frame backward button. And you can see it makes the playhead move very slowly. I can also use my left arrow to do the same thing. And if I click on the timeline in an empty space, I can scroll up on my mouse wheel and it'll do the same thing, moving one frame at a time. I also have my frame forward button, or I can use my right arrow on my keyboard. Or I can click in the timeline and use my scroll wheel and scroll down. So all those will move it one frame forward. I also have a system volume button to mute or turn on the system volume, or I can adjust the system volume. And then I also have the ability, if I have multiple things in the timeline, let's say here on this clip, I can click on the clip that's on top and I can click on the PIP scale mode. And now I can make picture in picture or face cam and place it wherever I want. I can turn it how I want. Do all kind of beautiful things with it. And I can also use the crop mode. So if I click on that, I can go ahead and crop this clip if I wish to do so. So you got that, okay? All right, so next we have our timeline. So in our timeline, we can stretch out our timeline to make it larger, or we can make it smaller. We can also use the plus key to make it larger and the minus key to make it smaller. Now, to the left, we have controls for the tracks. So we can make a track visible. So right now, if I click on this, and it will make this track invisible. So what happened was this information on this track went away. You can bring it back. And we can also do the same thing with the sound. If there was sound on the clip, we can enable or disable the audio. Now, there is a toolbar above the timeline. Now on that toolbar, you have several options. The first one is to customize the toolbar. If we click on that, we get to pick what things will or will not show on the toolbar. Things that are grayed out are mandatory. You cannot remove them. Then you have your timeline settings. So this should match the project settings that you set up. If they did not, then you can come down here to the timeline settings and make sure that your timeline matches the project. And as you can see, the frame rate was not right, so I went ahead and changed that to 24p. Click on apply. And then you have the option to choose storyboard mode or timeline mode. So storyboard mode allows you to move things around. If you want to have a storyboard and look at your clips and figure out how you want to have them or what order you want to have them in before you start editing, you can do that. Then next you have your audio mixer. So if you click on that, it'll open up the audio mixer and you can change the volume for each track. If you have audio in a track, let me see if I can find some over here with some audio. Some with my big mouth speaking, something like that. I think this will work. So if I have audio in a track, you have a green line here, which is actually your audio. So I can move that up and down. And if I want to, I can do fades and keyframes for the audio. In order to do that, I need to enable the keyframe here. And then I can click on it where I want to add nodes. And then I can actually fade the audio. The next option on here is Score Fitter. So Score Fitter actually allows you to add royalty-free songs, and they are songs that can automatically be adjusted to the length of your video. I have a tutorial on that if you want to see some more. Then I have a extra plugin called Smart Sound. It does not come with Pinnacle Studio 20 Ultimate. It's something that you have to buy. The next button is for creating a title. When you click on that, it brings up the title editor and you can add titles to your videos. Then you have the ability to do a voiceover. If you click on that, it'll open up a tool to record the voice. If you have a microphone set up, you can go ahead and do that. Then you have audio ducking. So audio ducking allows the system to automatically raise and lower volume of the track that you select. So if you have music and voice going at the same time, then you can use audio ducking to minimize or decrease the volume of the music while the individual is talking, and it automatically ducks throughout the video. And then you have the multi-camera editor. So if you are going to have multiple angles from different cameras, you can utilize this to go ahead and tell Pinnacle Studio which angle you want to show at which time, and it'll go ahead and stitch that all together for you. And then you have the transparency keyframe. So if you want to do transparency tracking, then you can click on this and it'll open up a similar tool to the audio keyframing. All it does is it does it for the actual videos and causes transparency wherever you want to add the transparency. Either you want to add it to the entire clip, or you can click on keyframes and you can add nodes once again and add the transparency where you want it to be. Next we have mark in and mark out point. So if you want to just export a specific part of your video, you can add a mark in and a mark out point and just export the piece that is showing between the 2 points. So if I were to click on export now, it'll open up the Pinnacle Studio exporter, and this would only export this part of the video. Then I can clear any mark in and mark out points. If I want to split clips, I can use a razor blade and split a clip. And I can move the playhead to another position and split clips. I can right click on the clip and delete it. And it'll close the gap for me based on the movie mode that I'm in, which I'll talk about in a second. I can also click on the clip and choose to delete the clip. If I have a gap in the timeline, I can right click on that and choose to close the gap. And then if I want to take a snapshot, I can click on the snapshot button and it will create a JPEG of whatever the scrubber is, of wherever the scrubber is at. Create a picture and it'll save it to the location that you select within your hard drive. And then I can also add markers. So if I want to remember a specific place where something is in the video, I want to mark a specific spot, I can add timeline markers wherever I like. The next button that we have on here is trim mode. So if I click on the trim mode button, it'll open up a window which has everything that's on the left of the scrubber and then everything that's on the right of the scrubber. I can use my mouse, I can left click and drag this out and you'll see that it extends it, or I can move it to the left and trim it that way. If I click on this window, I can do the same thing. Can trim it either way, right or left. And I can also use these buttons below to trim 10 frames or 1 frame forward or backwards. And then I can loop play if I want to take a look at how they transition. One transitions over to the next clip. The next button is the dynamic length transition. So basically, if I add a transition to the timeline, when I'm dragging it to the timeline, I can choose the duration of it if this button is enabled. If it's not, then it's going to be static, like 3-second transitions or whatever the case may be. The next button is magnetic snapping. So when that is on, when you get close to a clip, it snaps into place. When it's off, then basically it won't snap into place when you drag it near it. You have a frame by frame accuracy for dragging those things around. Next is you have the audio scrub. So when you scrub the timeline, do you want to hear the audio? Yes or no? You turn this on to determine that. And then the last button on the timeline that we have is editing mode. So you have smart editing, you have the insert, and then you have overwrite. Basically, smart editing tries to figure it out for you. If you add something to the timeline, you delete, you move stuff, it tries to figure out what you want to do and do it for you. In insert mode, when you delete or move clips on a timeline, the clip's position after that point in the track will always be moved earlier or later to accommodate those changes. So you just insert it, it'll just move it over for you. And then overwrite, if you place something on the timeline, then basically what it's going to do is there'll be a gaps sent open, and basically you move stuff around, stuff won't move for you. It'll just stay wherever it's at. And I like to be in overwrite mode because I don't like stuff moving for me. I like to just put stuff where I want and let stuff happen. Now, if you right click on a video, you have several additional options. One of them is rotation. I do have a rotation tutorial out there that you can view for that. You can also adjust the duration of a clip. You can change the speed, slow motion, reverse, fast. I have a tutorial on that as well. You can do pan and zoom. You can track motion. You can scale the video. There's all type of different options on here for things that you can do within the basic editing realm. So that's it, folks. Hopefully this will get you started in making some videos with Pinnacle Studio 20 Ultimate, and it'll get you on your way to creating great memories and things for you, your friends, your clients, all of that jazz. All right? I want to thank you guys who watched the video all the way through the end. It really means the world to me. If you like the content in this video, make sure that you click on the thumb, the one that's pointed in the upward direction. Lets people know that the content in the video is muy bueno. Also, if you got any questions, you just want to say what's up, you want to make a tutorial request, leave me a comment below and smash the subscribe button. When you smash the subscribe button, you get notified every time I upload content to YouTube, and you'll be able to watch Pinnacle Studio goodness and my product reviews every Saturday. Thanks for watching. See you again soon.